we're getting started. Hi, my name is Elaine. I'm one of the EIRs at the Trust Center, and there's a lot of familiar faces here, so welcome. So we're here to talk about delta V. Now, I'm assuming you all kind of familiar with what is delta V, right? Okay, all right. So I'm just going to go quickly through just the basic structure and then go straight to Q&A. There's two people who are supposed to be here, that they were running a little bit late. One person is Meyer, another EIR is going to be pretty critical in this program, and the other person is Saul, who actually went through the program last summer. So he would be a really great person to talk to about what it's like to actually go through the program as a participant. Okay, so let's just get going here. What is delta V? It's a capstone accelerator for the summer. For MIT Student Ventures, it runs the Monday after commencement, which this year is especially late. Commencement is June 9, which sucks. But well, it really does suck because we lose a whole week, but okay, so we'll live. So it's going to start the Monday after commencement. It's going to go all the way through to the first week of September. And then demo days are going to be in September. What's this thing supposed to do? It's supposed to help student startups accelerate the progress of the startup by teaching the founders skills. So we're helping you guys build your startups by helping to build skills with you, right? We build entrepreneurs, not startups. You build the startups. We emphasize team first, idea second. That's not to say the idea does not matter. Actually, if you follow Rob Go on Nick's View on the blog, right? So he just had a really great blog about how, well, the idea is going to change over time, but generally the area of the idea has to be, has to actually hold water. Has to be a big enough market, has to be a big enough problem. There has to be enough validation that there's something there to be done. It's a customized program. It's immersive. You're here full time. You're working on it all the time, and it's going to be very safe. We stress safe because this is a program that is under the MIT umbrella. We don't have any VC money, so unlike some of the other accelerators that are for profit, you will not run into the situation of signaling, right? So if you get into an accelerator that's run by a VC, then they put their mark on you. No such problem. We're very safe. We're just here to educate and help you succeed. And we want to help you achieve escape velocity. And what do we really mean by that? Really, all that means is that when you graduate and get out of this program, you're ready to go and take this thing to the next level, whatever it is. It might be just more primary market research. It might be to raise money, or whatever it is that you need to do. Okay. So one of the most important elements of this thing is that it's customized. And every year we like to blow stuff up and do things different. And this year what we're trying to do is make sure that we don't put out a cookie-cutter curriculum per se. A lot of you guys would already have taken 15390 and a lot of the entrepreneurship and innovation classes that MIT has to offer. We don't want to repeat that content. And we do want to stay within the discipline entrepreneurship framework when we talk about progress, but we don't want to teach you the stuff you already got in another class. Instead, it's very high touch. We're going to spend a lot of time coaching the teams one-on-one, and we'll meet you where you are and just make sure that we're keeping on pushing you to kind of make even more progress wherever you are. Here's the cohort from 2016. It's all of the teams that joined the program, and we had 16 MIT teams plus one team from ETAM in Mexico City. And we have a relationship with ETAM. That's why they usually send one team every year. They're usually a really super good team. And it's actually really diverse. And I'll go to the next slide, which is, this is a quick infographic of who was in the cohort, just so you can get a sense of the diversity of it. We didn't do so well on the female-male split, but we did really well on all the different stuff that people did. So there were logistics, there's medical devices, there's many different industries represented. There was a social enterprise called Solstice that did community solar. So we're looking for teams that have big ideas. They're looking to really have impact and change the world. We feel like there are a lot of startups that really don't need this program, that they can just go and succeed. If you have an idea, you want to make an app direct to consumer, most of the time, perhaps you really don't need a lot of acceleration help, but we're looking for things that are ambitious, and you're really trying to go out there and change the world in some way. Let me pause here. Any questions about the cohort last year and what it might look like? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Yes.
Do you try to pick certain startups based on the cohort you try to create? Like you want to make sure you have someone from energy. Like, is there any criteria for the industry that you startup?
Right. So the question is, do we try to build a cohort based on a quota of industries? The answer is we do not. We look at the teams based on whether or not we feel like they are really committed, whether the team has good team chemistry. Some of that is going to come up. So we're really looking at team. We're looking at commitment. We're looking at, are you hungry? Are you going to really give it everything you got this summer to really go and get it done and crush it? Now, last year we didn't necessarily intend to, but we ended up having 3 or 4 logistics companies. So there were a couple of trucking companies, and there was one doing maritime logistics, and we certainly didn't plan that, but it just so happened that in the people who were applying, there was a lot of interest in that particular area. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Other questions? All right. Just stress again, we're working really hard this time around to make sure it's not a cookie cutter curriculum per se. It's educational, but very much high touch coaching based. So we're gonna take something that Nick did this January. If there are any Fuse teams here, Nick did weekly goal setting. We're gonna take that methodology into the summer. And what that really means is, hey, here's Nick. Woohoo! Yeah. Just using your name in vain. I was just like saying, well, we're taking this great idea that Nick has on goal setting every week, and we're taking it this summer. So every week you're going to meet with one of the EIRs over office hours. We're going to sit down and talk to you about your progress. Also, you're going to kind of all meet in a group, in a cohort, and set goals. And you talk a little bit about how goal setting works.
Yeah. So who here was in Fuse? Stuff. Oh. Okay. Wow. Cool. Oh, hi guys. Yeah. So we prototyped this idea of using goal setting, weekly goal setting, as a way to sort of get teams on the fast track, sort of thinking at the tempo and the pace that experienced founders would be thinking at. We're going to change it up a little bit from what we actually did. Realize that if you have 6 teams in a room for an hour, it is not effective. If you have 4, it's a lot quicker. And also, we have more of a structure for it. So if it's structured and you really, really are focused on goals, you spend more time thinking about what the most important thing is throughout the week. It's okay if your goals change in the middle of the week, by the way. They should. That's part of it. We say this in Fuse. You'll set some goals at the beginning of the week. 2 days later, you'll realize those goals are not the most important thing. And then 2 days after that, you'll blow up or something else will happen terrible that will change everything. But that's the idea. Yeah, cool.
Great, thanks. So we're also going to have workshops, and we think that we're going to focus on skills, right? And a skill might be storytelling. Now, a lot of you would have already taken Nick's wonderful storytelling workshop, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to just look at what are the needs once the cohort is built, and see who might actually appreciate topic X to be covered. And some of these could be optional, right? So you might be an expert in primary market research because you were working with an agency and you know everything. You don't need to go to the primary market research workshop.
Yeah, instead we're going to make you teach it to other people. If you interned at IDEO, prepare yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So
that's an important one to talk about, though, because that's actually another change from last summer we learned from. We've gotten sort of good. MIT's gotten pretty good at entrepreneurship. You guys are actually pretty damn good. So instead of taking you through all these classes again and just making you do it even more in depth, focus very much on more tactical stuff over the summer, like how to really do things.
Yep. So the speakers, mentors, and advisors, they are drawn from leaders in the Boston startup ecosystem. And you may or may not have access to these people ordinarily, but some of these people are pretty famous people in the area. So that's another opportunity for building a network. We're still working on the themes per month, but conceptually, we're always going to start with who is your customer, what is your market, and then kind of go for the rest of it.
Obviously, some teams will be further along, some teams won't. That said, in practice, even the teams that are further along end up having to go back and focus a lot more on this whole customer thing because you realize you don't know how to sell anything. Or like you sold a few units of your product, and then you can't find another channel to so.
Or you go in there, you sell 5 for 10, and you realize really this particular area isn't the right focus for a customer, and I have to go over here. So you have to go back and iterate a lot, and that's an ordinary process for startup anyway. Now, one of the things that's going to be always happening is team building and organization develop for your startup. Not, like we're going to do some team building cohort-wide, but really, again, coming back to people first, ideas second. Why do startups fail? Why do startups fail? Most of them fail because the team doesn't gel. The team doesn't work, so it's super duper important that the founding team has really good dynamics, knows how to actually get stuff done, has good team process. So we'll encourage you to keep working through things like that. All right, any questions so far? All right, next. Benefits. The money will come eventually. I intentionally put the money on another slide.
Yeah, there's money.
There's some money. But mainly, the point is not to, if you are coming for the $20,000, that's probably not the best program for you because there's other places you can get $25,000, right?
Some places give you $125,000.
Yeah. So if you just want the money, right? So what this really is about is customized coaching, right? So you're going someplace and there will be people who've done bits and pieces of what you're doing, in some cases exactly what you're doing, only in different field, right? So that's really where the primary value is, that you can have somebody who's been somewhere similar before to bounce ideas off of and help you think through things.
The alumni network is great too. There's a lot of places with very large alumni networks. The GFSA/Delta V alumni network is small and still approachable, which is really valuable. We're friends with everyone. A lot of teams that are just 6 months or a year ahead of you, which is just immeasurably valuable.
Yeah. So you're going to build your professional network, and it's going to always feel like, you will always feel like, I want to have Brian Halligan in my network. Well, guess what? Where is he now, right? Like if you met him 7 years ago, he would be very helpful to you because he would still remember being small. But right now, they're like $1 billion company, right? So he's in a whole other place in terms of where he's operationally working. So I think that, in your network, you want to have a balance of people who are have gone way past the growth stage and people who are just 1 or 2 years ahead of you so that they still remember what it's like and they remember what they did in order to get out of certain situations.
Right. And things change in startups a lot, obviously. So fundraising landscapes change every few months, really, honestly.
Yeah.
So having a team that just went out and raised in a similar industry to you, super valuable. Intros, super valuable. Things like, is Kickstarter a good way to fund something? Was not a question 5, 6 years ago.
Right.
So,
yes, indeed. Peer learning. Generally, what we find is the cohort has really good, diverse skill set, except for they're not all in your own team, right? So there's going to be some expert in Facebook ads in another team. And you've got some amazing capability of web development, so you could do some skill sharing. And this is going to be a lot of that going on in the cohort because there's going to be a lot of skill set that you can kind of help each other with.
yeah. And we select for people that value that because it's almost better for us to take a less advanced team that really values the cohort and the peer group because everyone will end up in a much stronger place, which is funny how that works.
Yeah, indeed. this dedicated co-working space, and we're still trying to figure out, geography-wise, do we do what we did before, which is there and back, or do we put teams there and here and have talks in the back? So it's going to be tables that are dedicated to your team, right? So you'll have some place where you can call base camp and you can always come back there. And we expect you to be working there when you're not out there doing market research. And there's some money. And then there's demo days.
Yeah, there are demo days. This is where you get to show off how awesome you are. It's like acceleration of progress, right? How many of you actually saw the demo day here in Boston last year? Okay, so a fair bit. It's pretty cool. It feels really good to get up there with the big letters, like it's a TED stage, but it's called Delta V, so it sounds cooler than TED. I don't know, saying that's probably not true. It's TED.
Yeah. And there are investors in the audience. They're looking at it. So
Yeah.
it's a highly produced event, and the prep getting up there, you're gonna pick up skills about how to get up there and do a really, really highly produced, polished presentation.
Yeah.
And make your point in 5 minutes, right? It's a safe environment. Once more, we have what we call a knowledge broker approach. What that means is anybody who's helping teams under the Trust Center umbrella, we sign a paper to say we're never going to take advantage of you, we don't invest in you, we don't take money from you, we don't work for you, we're purely there as an educational resource for you, right? So
This is a big deal. This is a really big deal for the reason that no one ever talks about. There is a gigantic signaling risk in doing anything that involves professional money. As soon as you take anyone's money, you're expected to show results and make progress quickly. You're on a timeline, and you should be. We're an educational program. Right? There's no money involved. We're not making a bet on you, right? We're here because we see the potential in you, and we want to help you get there. But we're not saying you're ready. We're not signaling to anyone that you are ready right now. So a lot of teams go on, they leave Delta V and they do an accelerator, or they raise a round, or they work for another year and then raise a round. All cool with us,
Yeah.
all awesome. Signaling risk is a big thing. There's no signaling risk in Delta V. That's my speech.
So we're going to draw guest speakers again from the Boston ecosystem, and again, just the current founders who are a few years ahead turn out to be really the most insightful speakers, even though it feels really great to listen to Elon Musk or Travis. Well, that's a different kind of talk. It just doesn't actually relate to what you're doing now, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So from a faculty standpoint, Kirk, is anybody taking entrepreneurial sales with Kirk? Right. So like Kirk would be an example person we would get in here, and if you already took her class, you don't need to go to that particular talk, or you might love her so much you might want to go anyway, but she's just fantastic.
Yeah, so the talk contents are different. They change it. It's a lot different when the reason we can get them to actually come in the summer when they're wearing like ready to go out on a boat after the thing is because they come in and instead of just giving their slide deck, they'll say, well, here are the slides, but I'm just going to talk to you guys, and then a lot of it just ends up being going through your individual specific scenarios. And honestly, if you want to talk sales or pricing, it's amazing to just be able to have a conversation. I mean, has anyone actually done, like, had to come into us with a pricing question and we just say, go talk to Catherine Tucker? Has anyone had that?
Yeah, we do that.
Was it useful?
Yeah. Right, we already talked about workshops, so we don't need to talk about that again. Board of advisors. We are going to match for you your very own board of advisors. It's a mock board. It's not a real board in that they don't have equity, right? They're not really directors of your company, but they're put together specially for you, depending on whatever domain you are. We're going to try to draw some leaders from that particular domain.
Yeah, when we say leaders, we mean leaders. Like Fleetia had, I think, the CEO of the largest logistics company in Latin America on their board, flying in. There were people who flew in from as far as China, I believe, for the board meetings last year, all over the place. This is serious. They do not want you to waste their time. You don't want to waste their time, rather. So they're not little people, and it takes us like 6 months of LinkedIn just to get everyone. It's it's a lot. So we tap out our entire social networks every year.
Yeah, every year we burn our network, and the next year we're like, well, yeah, let us still
Right.
come again. It's 5 to 7 people, and we have board meetings once a month, and that's another really good simulation, right? Like when you have real board meetings, it's not going to be once a month, unless you're really in big trouble, in which case it might be once a week. Most people have board meetings once a quarter or once every 2 months, but once a month you're going to get together with your mock board who hasn't seen you all month, they know nothing about you, and you're going to have to learn how to kind of tell them where you are and have a fruitful discussion after that. And again, this is a really, really good forum to A, get feedback, and B, learn how to communicate effectively in a very truncated amount of time with people who have a lot of knowledge that you can lean on.
Which is another function of the goal setting meetings. It's if you want to be in a room with a bunch of your peers and you want to actually get constructive, useful feedback, you better learn to update everyone in the room on your progress, your challenges, your successes lately, so you can have a real conversation. So hopefully that practice will come out on your boards.
Right. So the mentoring and coaching, a lot of it is going to be the EIRs and the office, and we would be the people who have the weekly view of you, right? The board members, they would see you once a month, so that actually gives a different time frame, and you can stand back a little bit and really think about what does it all mean, the 4 weeks that I just spent doing this. Right? Okay. Money. Woo! Money. So you're eligible to earn $20,000 for your startups over the course of the summer. And for each qualifying founding level MIT student, you can be eligible for a fellowship of $2,000 per month as a stipend, right? So this is not something that you can just kind of join and then you go and hire some interns and then we pay for your interns. That's kind of not really the idea. The idea is that we're trying to help MIT founders have enough living expenses so they're not kind of worrying about that and worrying about the startups. If you have co-founders who are like from industry or from another universities, unfortunately we cannot offer that $2,000 per month.
Right.
You
Yep.
graduated.
Hi.
If you're graduating in June, are you still considered a student?
Yes.
Summer?
If you are still a registered student as of February of this year and you're graduating at either February or June, that's fine. If you're a postdoc, you're fine.
Yeah.
Right? But it has to be an MIT degree-bearing program. So there are a lot of other programs that MIT runs that don't bear degrees. So this is just for degree-bearing programs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we work pretty closely with Sandbox too. So if you just applied or are applying for the highest level Sandbox money, and you do get it, you can do something like do Delta V, and then you can defer the Sandbox money until after Delta V. So if you're graduating, that's an awesome thing to do. It's great. Makes it so you can work another few months.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good segue into no double dipping, right? So thing number one is if you're in this accelerator, you're not in another accelerator too, right? So some people have done this before and we're not going to do it this year. Be in Delta V and also Mass Challenge. Well, that's not great, right? You're just going to get less than half of each experience, and we just don't think that is productive
I'd
either.
argue it's significantly less than half of each because you don't form bonds with either group, and you're sort of an outsider in both places.
Right.
I would very much not recommend it.
Yeah. So we're just not gonna let you do it. Yes.
So if you get accepted here in that mass challenge, what do you recommend?
It's up to you and your personal needs and wants, and what do you think you need out of each program, right? And we're very happy to talk you through, like no skin off our back. We want the best for you, right? And if you get into YC versus Delta V and you decide YC makes sense now, well, okay. Well, we're sorry to lose you. But if you feel like you can do this and then go to some of these other programs, that's cool too.
It's totally individual, but
Yeah.
we're here to talk it through, right? We
Yeah.
don't care. We don't make money if your company makes money.
Yeah, so we've seen and supported every variant, except for the double dipping we do not support anymore. We tried it and it didn't work. Okay. Do you want to show this video or do you want to leave that for later?
This is the video of all the teams?
This is just Luco.
Just Luco?
Yeah.
I like Luco.
You like Luco. I don't know how many minutes though.
How many? I think it's like 1.
No, it's the whole demo. It's like 6 or 7.
Oh, it's 8
Oh,
minutes.
we'll do that later.
Okay, all right.
Unless you guys want to see Luco's demo video, right? Like demo day video. But 90% of them saw it live. So,
Yeah.
yeah, let's move on.
No.
Questions while Elaine is failing with the AP system?
All right. Who should apply? Team should have 2 to 5 people. At least one must be an MIT student, as we just defined, which is you either still enrolled now, or you're graduating February or June, or you're postdoc.
Right.
So
We
at
accepted
least
solo
one.
founders for Fuse, and we accept solo founders for other things. We are even more discouraging of solo founders for Delta V.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess I wasn't really discouraging at all solo founders for some of our other
Right.
programs. But by this time, if you're moving, you should have another teammate.
Right, and by teammate, we mean somebody who's actually available and willing and committed to work all summer, full-time. Right, so if you have a co-founder who's like an MD, PhD, who's actually practicing neurosurgery, and they're co-founder and the chief scientific officer or chief medical officer, that's cool, but they're not gonna be here full-time, right? So who else would be on your team on top of that, right? So the reason why we insist on at least 2 full-time people is that 2 is better than 1. When you're doing all these activities in building the startup in the beginning, you really need to do it as a founding team, not as a one of the people in it.
Alvaro from Luco just walked in.
Oh, yes.
I think.
Okay.
Unless I'm blind. Hey.
He's been here.
Um,
Right.
Is
So.
he gonna tell everyone how awesome Delta V is?
Yes. Okay. So.
Define full-time, like is it 9 to 5, like when are the activities?
So it's startup full time.
Yeah.
So that means
So whatever that means to you.
however many hours your brain needs to sleep to function.
Right.
Similar to Fuse, I think. I think Fuse, in terms of the intensity of work, was actually pretty awesome. Like Deep Bench, I saw you guys here all the time. Like, how much do you guys work? Decent amount. Weekends,
Decent amount.
nights, mornings.
Jason actually still hasn't left, trust me.
Yeah, I actually don't think I've ever not seen you here. Yeah, well, I haven't seen you go there either. So it's a lot, but in terms of activities, I would probably start earliest at 10 or 11.
We realize that a lot of software dudes, so
Yeah.
therefore not like 7
And
a.m.
it is summer, so 11 to 5, 6, 10 at night.
We have to fit a lot of teams before we have time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Well, it
full
depends.
time means if you're thinking about work, you're thinking about this.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not thinking about work, you're out there kayaking, that's cool. Right? But mainly you're working on your startup, and that's your main thing.
That's
this
it. There were plenty of times last summer where a team walked in, they were just so stressed out of their minds, and we're like, you have to leave the trust center right now and go kayaking or something. You have to go do something because your team's going to explode. But on that note, right? Like this is a startup program, right? It's educational, but you're working on a startup. So if you're going and selling, you probably shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we already talked about double dipping. We expect you to have already been working on this thing. So generally, if you come up with the idea, especially to just apply, you're going to be maybe months, sometimes years behind other teams that apply. We're looking for teams that are really, you've done a lot of work already, and you're really looking for that extra push to get to the next level, right? So I think that's important to stress, because this really is a capstone program. And if you're just at the beginning of your journey, there are other programs that you can take part of that could help you better than this program, because everybody is going to be like kind of really pushing forward with their startups. Want to add something?
No.
Right. We would like for at least one person to have significant exposure. And again, as Nick mentioned, we're doing better at just getting the word out that entrepreneurship classes are there. So increasingly we see higher and higher level of knowledge on entrepreneurship, so I don't think that's going to be needed
Yeah.
higher.
Right.
Yeah,
And
team
this
and
is right. This is in red because we're taught we think of it as the most important thing. Your level of commitment, how hungry you are for success, and how much you value Delta V, the program, and the cohort itself. On that note, it's not the only thing, right? Because this also looks very common for like what fuses. It's this, plus it is a capstone program, so you know you should have been working on this venture. You should have been working on it. Should be showing some sort of positive signs.
And you're going to get what you get out of what you put in it, which is why we really want to have teams that really want to get a lot out of it, because those are the teams that accelerate the most, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Application process. We're going to open applications March 1st, and they're going to stay open for a month, and then we're going to close March 31st at 8 p.m. Not midnight. Not midnight. 8 p.m. We're going to just shut down. And generally, when we shut down, we get a whole bunch of emails saying, oh, I thought it was midnight. So if you're here, we expect you to have heard that it's 8 p.m. The online application has a couple of components. So first of all, there's a form where there's questions about each team member. So, name, email, contacts, what have you taken for entrepreneurship classes, what have you done for startups, and also, what are you really, why are you in this startup? What's in it for you? What are you looking to get out of it, right? So we're really looking for, on a per person basis, what are your expectations? What really do you expect to get out of this experience? So that's person by person. And then we've got, on the startup side, we want to hear about what is the startup. We want your elevator pitch. We want to hear what is the problem you're trying to solve, how you propose to solve it, who's the customer, why is the world a different place after you do this? Again, we feel like there are a lot of startups that can succeed just fine without us, right? We're looking for like big, hairy, audacious, impactful things that will really change the world.
Right.
And then we have a 1-minute video that we ask you to upload on YouTube. If you prefer unlisted, that's fine, but just don't make it private, because we need to be able to view it. And you're going to talk about idea, and you're going to talk about your team. You have 60 seconds, and that's a really good first test.
Who are you? What is your idea, and why did you choose to do this of all the other things you do? Right? Show us who you are. Show us your passion. Show that hunger. Just on a tactical note for you guys, what's going to actually happen in real life is we're going to open up a giant spreadsheet of applications, and the first thing I do when I'm looking at a team is I'm going to watch your video, so that while I'm reading the rest of it, I know who you guys are. I know you see your facial expressions, your tone of voice. I get excited a little bit about hanging out with you for all summer. So just make that good. That's really important.
Show some personality.
Yeah.
Be original. Okay, and then, so March 31st we close applications, and then the next 2 weeks we have blocks of time set aside for interviews, so we'll pass around the link for you to sign up for interviews, and we will notify you, we're going to notify you like the 3rd week of April. And when we notify you, we need you to turn around and tell us in 48 hours are you in or not, if you are actually indeed accepted, because generally we have a really deep wait list, and we want to make sure that we don't hold up a spot for another team when you already know you're not going to be in it. Any questions? Yes?
So the team, so do you need to know by the deadline who will be the team that will work full-time on the startup?
Yes? Yes?
If you raise a round before the program starts, that's okay, right?
That's okay. We ask you to disclose. Basically, we have a question that asks you to disclose how much money have you raised, if any, how much revenue are you generating, if any, right? Now, we'd like to think that doesn't affect things, but if you're already turning over $70 million, we might just say, perhaps you should be a mentor instead of being in this accelerator, right?
$50 million, that's fine.
Next steps, our webpage is newly updated, so you can go there and look at all these dates. Check out videos from 2016. Visit us here. Yeah, that's it. And I'd like to invite all the alums who are here. Are there, any alums still here? Alums of Delta V, GFSA.
I think we lost Alvaro.
We lost them, and Saul never came. Okay. Well, that's tragic. Oh well.
Yeah.
All right. So, any questions? Yes. Generally, we shoot for 12 to 16. Last year, we have 17. That's a guideline. Is at the discretion of us, right? Depending on, a bunch of factors. Yes.
So how many teams normally apply for the summer program?
Lots.
Is that a number?
Lots. Like you mean like the percentage?
I want to know roughly what is the acceptance rate of the program. Like basically how many apply, how many didn't.
Oh, we knew. We knew you wanted. We just don't really know it,
No,
do we?
it was north of 50 last year.
There's a lot more than 50.
But last year was the first year we did 2 MIT founders as part of the team as opposed to 1. The year before when it was only 1, I believe it was over 90 applied.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Questions?
Just what again this year?
So, do you guys need a budget for like what the money is going to be spent on before we apply? And second question is,
No, we wouldn't read it anyway because it's going to be extraordinarily wrong.
and then is there any restriction on what the money is spent on?
Yes. Not on sushi. I mean, like I guess you could spend on sushi, but
I mean, if you're like burnt
I
out,
guess not.
like really bad sushi though.
Yeah, I think.
I actually think there's no restriction on what the
I
money can
think
be
there's
spent
no
on.
restriction.
As long as you're not committing fraud.
Yeah.
Although, well, that's actually maybe not even a good filter either, considering what some of you people have done.
Yeah.
I'm sure we get rid of something.
Oh, by the way, sorry.
So what's the progression like towards the end again? So do all teams don't present at demo day, is that correct?
Some teams elect not to. For example, Emerald is the Wi-Fi, non-contact fault detection technology. They decided not to because they felt like they didn't want to expose themselves to such a large crowd. Between that and the last time they were exposed to a really big crowd, they felt like the change in progress wasn't enough, so they self-elected out. So we try to encourage the teams to go get ready, but then if the teams really shouldn't be presenting, we don't want them to hurt themselves by putting forward something. Let's say they found a giant
We made
pivot.
it pretty clear that demo day is something you earn
Yeah.
last year. It really is. But that's the teams that deserved it really stepped up, so everyone got to present. But it's not at all a sure thing.
Are you only looking for VC-backed startups?
What is our specific line? I believe, so no, because not everything should be necessarily VC backed.
Yeah.
That's definitely, but
Right.
we are looking for companies, so they are profitable. We very much believe in social good companies that impact the world in a positive way and do that in a sustainable way by making tons of money. So they can make a bigger impact. We love that, but yeah, so it's high growth, startup, social impact is great, but it has to be sustainable. We don't want people that are relying on donations.
Yeah, I guess that's a good segue. If you're a consulting or services-based company where you're just, you're charging by the hour, that's probably not the best program, right? Because we're going to be talking about how to scale a product or a service, business models and things like that. And consulting is its own beast. It's different. Now, within B Corp, C Corp, you still need a business model for even a nonprofit to keep on being sustainable. There would be content that is pretty specific to VC-backed classical growth style companies. Like if we have a fundraising panel for seed investors, it would be in that category. More questions?
So in one of the slides, I saw that you had teams that were developing countries.
Yeah.
So what sort of mentorship network do you have around that?
Cool. So four of our companies in the last batch were all operating in developing world, and a lot of them are doing really well too. Off the top of my head, I know Recult in Pakistan and Kuwait and Rwanda are doing quite well. We have the capability to create a great network. We can, the boards, those are going to be hugely impactful for you. Often we get people that are familiar with your region. We also have Legatum, the Legatum Center we work pretty closely with. We also have alumni companies operating all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's
Right.
very helpful too.
We've got one from last year right now in Ghana.
Yeah.
He's building a team on the ground doing some educational tech things.
And then I know you guys see us around here all the time, but we do this all over the world in like 150 countries. So there's a lot of students and a lot of people all over the world that we can grab and leverage, assuming it's actually helpful.
Right, so a tangential thought though, if there's somebody on your team who is currently on F1B student visa and they're graduating, they are going to need to get practical training to work in the summer because you would have graduated and you would need to do that before you finish graduating. That's some date, but just need to know that if you've got somebody who's on student visa, you're gonna need to get the practical training.
Okay. And is there anyone? Are you operating abroad?
Oh, yeah.
Anyone else thinking of operating abroad? Okay. So you should, when you apply, you should have a plan on how you're going to make progress if your company is operating abroad and you're here. We can talk about it in detail, but hey, Saul. But last summer we had teams that would go there for a month, then come back for board meetings and go, or half the team would be here
Everybody
and there.
needs Saul.
Saul! That was weak. Try again. Saul! There we go. Saul went through Delta V last summer. He was on Emerald. Yeah. Anyway, we're not going to put you on the spot necessarily right now.
Yeah.
Or are we?
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Any questions for Saul?
So what was your summer experience like?
It was great. I recommend my Delta V. Not really. I've done a couple of similar things. What I like about Delta V is that it's very, very education focused. So you can definitely get your company off the ground. I mean, equity-free financing and all. But the access to the mentors and the EIRs is pretty great. And from their end, all they care about is you learning what you need to learn. And that's pretty unique. So that's an added benefit to the process on top of you probably leaving with a company form. So I was considering different options for the summer, and I'm 100% happy I chose to do the accelerator. So.
Excellent. Beautiful. All right. Is that it? Is that the last slide?
We went back in front, so
Oh.
we can go anywhere if you like.
Okay. So, questions? How many people have an idea team that they think they could fly with now? Oh. Damn. Cool. Awesome. And then anyone else sort of hoping they're going to get to the point where they're ready in the next few months or so? That's not shameful. There we go. Awesome. No matter how experienced you are, sometimes you got to start a new thing. Okay.
All right. So we're here. If you have more questions, you can always come talk to us. But thank you for coming.